Hi, my name is Michelle Woodson and I'm the Senior Director of Curriculum Development, and I'm super excited to be with you today. I know you're here today as a part of our Canvas crew, which is a part of a whole initiative we've got going that's really going to move Canvas into the classrooms for all students in Wake County. This is the best thing I can think of that's going to help support what instruction looks like in Wake County, as Canvas is really a means by which we're going to organize and think about how students are learning every day.
So the way I started learning Canvas was through the courses that the school system was offering. And I liked that most of them were asynchronous. I could take them at my own time. Also, at the beginning, I used a lot of support from DLCs, and now I'm even asked to be part of a crew, and I can support my peers in the school that I am at to learn Canvas.
So during the pandemic, as you know, we ended up working to get every student and every staff member a device. And now that we have that, we have the ability to really make technology more efficient and more effective in supporting learning objectives and teaching objectives. That includes things like providing schools better support, giving more professional learning, and making sure that our parents have exactly what they need in order to support their children at home.
As we transition our focus from 2+ years of emergency pandemic response towards long-term recovery and growth, we believe that the implementation of Canvas as the universal LMS in the Wake County Public School System will support our core work in delivering high-quality instruction and meeting the social-emotional needs of all of our students.
So I had the privilege of teaching in the virtual academy last year, where Canvas was the platform of choice, and that taught me a lot about how to use Canvas, but it also gave me some great experience in the online teaching. But prior to that, for years, for 2 decades, I've been teaching in person. And so my challenge to myself when I came back this year in person was to find ways to make a truly blended classroom, to use the best things that I learned from Virtual Academy and combine them with the best things from in-person instruction. And Canvas provides this really nice single hub of learning where my students can access materials they need for in-person learning. I can post information that students can access outside of school when they're absent or sick or on a snow day or something like that. I find that when I make lessons in Canvas and I make them truly blended experiences, my students get to have that in-person live experience that we know has all that value, but they also have the advantage of an archive of learning lessons and all the tools that are in Canvas to facilitate learning outside of my classroom as well. One of my favorite things to do is build collaboration through Canvas. Students can submit work and have peer reviewers give them feedback, and as a teacher, it's only a couple of button presses to make that happen, and it takes care of itself. I can also do collaboration through discussions in Canvas where my students actually interact with one another and with me. And students can do group projects in Canvas where they all get the same assignment, they work on it together, and they can submit it as a group.
One of the many things that we love about Canvas is the variety of accessibility features that are incorporated within the platform in order to be able to allow students to access content and curriculum. So, for example, one of the really cool things that Canvas allows is for annotation within assignments. It allows for read aloud for students who might need the text read aloud to them so that they can hear it. You can increase, decrease text size. You can change colors so that it's a little more readable for students who might have visual accommodations. There's a dictionary built in, and one of the best parts about it is that there's the ability to translate into 60 languages. So students can hear or read assignments in their native language so that is less of a barrier to their learning. And so the fact that all of these accessibility features are part of the core of Canvas really means that more students are going to be able to, like I said, access that content and curriculum in a way that will allow them to be successful.
So I really want to think about how we use Canvas in the classroom every day, because the reality is this should not be anything that is separate from what teachers do every day in the teaching and learning process. This is really about how we organize our instruction. And so we organize it not only for ourselves, but certainly for our students and for our families.
The good thing about Canvas is when you open Canvas, you can see all the classes and they're all incredibly organized, and you can actually see what is missing in which class.
And while the resources available in Canvas will never replace a highly qualified teacher and will not add to or replace the core curriculum, the ready-made digital learning activities, assessments for students, and other tools to support an engaging, effective blended learning environment will be an incredible value add for teaching and learning. Ultimately, our goal in adopting a universal LMS across the district is to leverage both digital tools and face-to-face instruction to offer a more personalized learning experience for all students in the Wake County Public School system.
So one of the great things about Canvas that I really enjoyed using is the Mastery Path option. So Mastery Paths are an advanced Canvas feature where you can set up prerequisites where students have to achieve a certain goal, a certain test score, a certain number of things they complete before they move on. And one of the ways that we used it in my class last year is as an enrichment remediation opportunity. So it was great for our differentiation as well. Based on our test scores, the students were then split either into a remediation retest path or into an enrichment path. And those who were on the remediation path, they got extra help, they got some personal attention, they got practice videos, practice games, practice teaching. The enrichment, they then had a separate project that they went on and did to further enhance their learning. And that's great because whenever you create something like a mastery path or a quiz or whatever, once it's in Canvas, it's always there at your fingertips.
I use Canvas for my biotech classes and my science class, and it makes everything a lot easier because it's easier to actually access the assignments and what you need to do.
Canvas supports blended learning by allowing students, teachers, and families to engage with content, communicate and assess understanding during instruction in the classroom, and beyond.
So I'm a huge fan of Canvas for a lot of reasons, and one of the biggest ones has to do with the way my students can get feedback about the work that they've done in class. You know, traditionally a student would get a grade on a worksheet or an assignment and get it back, and oftentimes they would just shove that in their bag or throw it in the trash, and that would be the end of it. But as teachers, we all know that the real strength, the real power of helping them improve comes from giving them feedback on their work and then getting them to act on that feedback and turning that feedback into a conversation with the student. Sometimes in certain cases, even peer feedback and a conversation between students. And so for me, Canvas gives me these tools to help me do that right in the lesson. When I receive work from students, I can give it a score, but I can also write narrative feedback. I can give them audio feedback. I can record short videos if I want to. They can see me, they can hear me, they can read what I've said, and then they can respond to my feedback by just changing their work and resubmitting it, or by continuing that conversation, so that really that's where the learning happens, right? It's not just before they've done the work, it's while they're working on turning in their very best work. And that for me is a real power of Canvas, because all those tools are built right into the system.
With the feedback, you can chat back and forth with your teacher, and you can do audio chat and emojis, and it's like you're normally texting, but it's with your teachers.
Through the utilization of Canvas in our classrooms, students are given greater control over the time, the place, and/or the pace of learning, and will have the opportunity to participate in a variety of instructional strategies that best meet their individual needs.
So the way I'm introducing blended learning in first grade is very exciting. We are starting with one course, and then I will be adding throughout the year the rest of them. Right now we're starting with language arts and Letterland, and it's very interesting because I use it for differentiation purposes. After they do the whole group instruction, they go to Canvas, and it's like a one-place shop. They know that their assignments are there and they're all differentiated, and they might work with an assignment there and with a Google instrument like slides. They have to watch and then they do a Jamboard, or I might give them like a graphic organizer and they might listen to a story and then they have to complete the graphic organizer. So that way they're also writing and doing some blended learning there.
So I wanted to also talk a little bit about blueprint courses and what's available in Canvas Commons. So the reality also is that we have a great opportunity to have content available to our teachers every day, and some of that content can be consistent. So when we think about our curriculum that we have in place, for example, EL education in elementary and middle school, OUR in middle school, MVP in high school, we have blueprint courses written for those particular courses as well as many others. And that is consistent content that can be available to your teachers across the grade levels and across the grade spans. That's a really great opportunity for teachers to be able to have a consistent message about what teaching and learning looks like in their classroom. It doesn't have to be the end of where they are, it's the beginning. They can adapt that content and they can manipulate it the way they need to based on their learners, but that content is already pre-populated and ready to go. And in addition to that, I really want to think about how additional curriculum materials that are found in the Canvas Commons can support learners and what they're doing every day. So an opportunity to share content as well as to gain content from other educators across the state and across our district.
Canvas allows the user to create various types of assessments. The user can attach a standard to each question and arrange the assessment by standards. The reports generated allow the user to see standard mastery at a glance. The report breaks down the data statistically. So for myself, as I use it, I can quickly look at a standard and see if my kids have 80% mastery on that part of the content, which before I had to place the information into Excel, look through all of the information, and then I could see whether or not those students had mastery on that standard. And you had to do that for each individual standard, which Canvas allows you to avoid.
It does take some initial planning. It takes a little while to set these things up. Once you get it set up, Canvas is amazingly efficient at helping you kind of maintain workflow.
Another thing I love about Canvas is the way that I can communicate with my students and their families very easily. The Canvas inbox acts like a little miniature version of email, but with a whole lot of extra features that allow me to reach out to just the students I need to, the ones who are missing an assignment or the ones who did well, the ones who didn't do well. And it mirrors to their Outlook email, so they can see my responses, my messages in either place. In addition to that, I can use Canvas to communicate with parents. Parents can make observer accounts where they can see the things that I'm announcing and the things that I've shared with the class, and that helps them to be the best partner possible with the learning that I'm trying to have happen in my classroom.
As a parent myself, I can tell you the more consistent access was for me allows me to have a better experience with my student and support them in better ways. In fact, my son uses Canvas today, and it allows my husband and I to really be able to support him to make sure he has exactly what he needs. It's a lot more difficult when we have multiple resources across the district. And so our goal in technology services is to support our academics team and others to make sure that we can do the best possible to support our students, our staff, and our parents.
In some recent mid-pandemic research conducted by John Hattie and some of his colleagues, they make the point that, quote, "The greatest travesty that can arise for schools is if we rush back to the old normal, having learned nothing new." In our view, the transition to Canvas as the single LMS in the Wake County Public School System is one important and concrete example of our collective desire to move forward and not to allow ourselves to be satisfied with the status quo. We know that there is much work ahead and there will be some bumps in the road, but we're excited and optimistic about the new direction.